where we would set this up, we couldn't have that equipment out there. So my apologies. It's a beautiful view of our campus out here, but you're also getting being our nice Marburger auditorium as well. So good evening and welcome to the 2023 New Student Convocation. My name is Kevin Finn. I serve as Vice President of Philanthropy and Alumni Engagement here at the university. You probably don't have that on your radar yet, but one thing I want to do, we're going to do tonight, we're welcoming you to the Lawrence Tech family. Is essentially what Convocation is about. What I want you to remember now, you're part of that alumni family starting today, so welcome. I'm so excited to extend this welcome to you since you're our incoming class of new students, or this fall, what we think of as the class of 2027. So remember that, that's the target for graduation. This convocation marks the official beginning of the 2023-2024 academic year, a year that I believe will be filled with excitement, intellectual challenges, and the pursuit of knowledge by all of us who are members of the Lawrence Tech community. This is an incredible beginning for you all, and we are excited to witness the new friendships, wisdom, and growth you will achieve, and welcome you as the newest members of the Lawrence Tech family, our first-year students. For 9 decades, Lawrence Tech's missions and values have changed the world, and now it's your chance to influence the future. We are here today to share in our values and embrace our heritage and to build on that and to continue the legacy of Lawrence Tech. As you transform over the next 4 years, I'm sure you will become inspired by experiencing the knowledge, expertise, and perspectives of one another. I just want to pause for 1 second and say why we say that. Many of our great alums, they started companies with their classmates they met at events like this today and the relationships they build. So that's why you hear us stressing that. Today is just the beginning, the stepping stone to a future that you are not only in charge of, but one that's an exciting adventure, a big responsibility, but I assure you, you're in great hands. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our president, Dr. Tarek Soap, and I want to share a little bit about his background before he comes and speak with you. Dr. Soap is our president, and he is a licensed professional engineer and an internationally renowned robotics expert. Dr. Soap received a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering with honors in computer science and automatic controls from Alexandria University in Egypt, and a Master of Science and PhD degree in computer information science from the University of Pennsylvania. He began his academic career as a research assistant professor of computer science at the University of Utah. He's held several academic and executive positions at the University of Bridgeport, and prior to becoming a Lawrence Tech president, he served as our provost and vice president of academic affairs. And as a father, he's going through what you are putting your parents through right now too. Dr. Soap's son will be starting his first year in college this year as well, so totally understands his experience. Dr. Soap.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here. It is actually my youngest son who's starting college, so I'm gonna be completely done in 4 years, or that's what I'm telling myself at least. So, first of all, welcome to the Lawrence Technological University family. Let me congratulate you on your wisdom in joining the LTU community of involved, active, and accomplished learners and leaders. This new student convocation marks the official opening of Lawrence Technological University's 23-24 academic year, a year of fresh beginnings and new ways of looking at our ever-changing world. You are building on a powerful tradition at LTU, as this fall semester marks the 91st year of the founding of Lawrence Tech. On September 6, 1932, Lawrence Institute of Technology opened its door to several hundred students. LTU's founder, Russell Lawrence, along with members of his family and a small dedicated group of faculty, set out to change the future when they started Lawrence Tech. Russell's idea for educating students was ahead of its time. It included evening classes for working students and a hands-on real-world experiential education that use both theory and practice. Hundreds of students were interested in this new approach then to learning. Those hundreds of students turned into thousands and tens of thousands, and now you too. In the 91 years since, more than 40,000 alumni have graduated from this great institution. We are immensely proud that so many have achieved so much growth and innovation in their profession and respective communities through the years. Over the past 91 years, alumni-led companies and organizations have provided a livelihood for millions of people in the United States and indeed across the globe. As we reflect on the remarkable journey of Lawrence Technological University, we are reminded of the core values and commitments that set us apart and drive our relentless pursuit of excellence. On a personal note, before arriving here at Lawrence Tech in 2020, 3 years ago, I was seeking a new professional opportunity in the role of provost or president in an eminent, technologically focused, comprehensive university. As a quintessential engineer, I started doing my research to find such a university. Out of all the universities in the US, 6,000 plus, I found only 56 universities to be technologically focused by name, vision, and mission. And out of these 56 universities, only 13 were doctoral, comprehensive, and private institutions. Lawrence Tech's history for the past 90 years and its intentional focus on theory and practice, experiential education, interdisciplinary offerings, individualized student mentoring by faculty, programming agility, and industry immersion sets it apart from all its peers, even within this elite circle of 13 universities in the country that are technological, comprehensive, and private. I consider myself extremely lucky to be part of this great community here at Lawrence Tech and to be able to contribute to the transformative outcomes in student access, workforce development, research, creative practices, and economic mobility. In our ever-evolving world, the ability to adapt and excel is paramount. We at Lawrence Tech stand as a beacon of innovation, carving our niche through 4 defining pillars that distinguish Lawrence Tech as a transformative leader in higher education. These are the 4 pillars: technological eminence, industry immersion, interdisciplinary innovation, and professional excellence. Embracing technology is not just a choice for us. It is an integral part of our identity. We believe in leveraging the power of technology in all fields to catalyze learning, discovery, and innovations in all the fields and disciplines that we teach and perform research in. From state-of-the-art laboratories to cutting-edge research centers, workshops, and studios, we provide the tools and environment for you, our students, and for our faculty to continue to push boundaries and revolutionize industries. Our faculty members bring real-world experience to the classroom. You will be taught by 200 plus full-time faculty members in your disciplines and more than 400 adjunct faculty who are eminent industry professionals. These world experiences that you will experience in your classrooms and classes will bridge theory and practice seamlessly in your fields of study. Our curricula are shaped by industry insights, ensuring that you are not only equipped with the knowledge, but are primed to thrive in the professional world day one after you graduate. At Lawrence Tech, we actively encourage collaboration across disciplines, whether it's engineering and business, architecture and computer science, health sciences and design, or any other combination. We foster an environment where diverse perspectives, programming, and intellectually meritorious pursuits of broader impact converge to create holistic solutions to complicated and multifaceted problems facing humanity in the 21st century. We also recognize that academic achievements are only part of the equation for success, your success. The character, ethics, and professionalism of our graduates truly sets them apart in this work environment. Our emphasis on ethical decision-making, leadership development, team skills, and strong communication abilities ensures that Lawrence Tech alumni excel not only as professionals, but even more importantly, as responsible global citizens. The high-quality technological education you are about to participate in, enriched with the liberal arts, is demanding and challenging, but you are capable. This is why you are all here today, and this is why you will all succeed on your way to become these professionals in 4 years. I want to assure you that we, the faculty, staff, and administration at LTU, believe in you and in the effort that you will all put forth to achieve your goals. We will help you to succeed. We will assure you that we will do our best to launch you on the path to success. We are here to encourage you, but also to challenge you, to guide you, and to help you acquire the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you seek and definitely need in the ever more competitive world that we live in these days. Today, you join an elite university with a great and proud history and an even more incredible future to come. We are here tonight to honor you. All of us, like you, believe in the value of Lawrence Tech and its education. Next week, your exciting LTU journey begins. It will be an exciting 4 years, but there will be some hard times too. You will see that your attitude has everything to do with your success. Have a confident attitude, and you will overcome obstacles, and we will help you every step of the way. Congratulations. I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you. Thank you. I invited Mike Pachero, who will be our 2023 Convocation keynote speaker. You will soon learn about Mike's experience at LTU and his success since graduating from Lawrence Tech. I hope you will listen intently to Mike's words, and you will be energized and persistent in your journey to conquer all things that come your way, much like Mike did. Vice President Finn, will you please read the audience Mike's biography before he takes the stage? Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Pachero is a 2015 graduate of the College of Engineering. He is a member of the first class of the Architectural Engineering program, coming to LTU as a freshman in the fall of 2009, during the program's inaugural year. Mike quickly dove in, and helped pioneer and shape the program's early years. And he continued that pioneering mindset into many other campus activities over the years, including joining and leading the LTU chapter of Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, through many on-campus and nationally recognized successes. He served as a resident assistant in housing for 3 years, leading and supporting his fellow students. He was so impassioned with the idea of zero-energy housing design that he founded a student organization called Students Constructing a Sustainable Tomorrow. I think it's a really key point to take a pause with. Always remember, when you have an idea and a passion for something, what Mike did here. He wanted to get his fellow classmates together for a common cause. Ultimately, that led to working with a set of professors and a student team, and they were awarded a $25,000 research grant from the Ford Foundation to engage with the community and deconstruct a 127-year-old blighted Detroit home and repurpose it. They repurposed the 1800s era lumber that it was built with. In this time, Mike was all over campus and known by many LTU administrators and faculty. He was awarded the LTU Student Leader of the Year in 2012, and from there, he never looked back. Professionally, as a trained architectural engineer, he could have taken a traditional route with his career and taken a job after graduating in 2015 with any of the large engineering design firms in the area. But Mike was always thinking outside the box, and instead, he applied and was one of 30 out of hundreds of applicants selected to the 4th year of a publicly voted fellowship in the city of Detroit called Challenge Detroit. Here he would work for a host company Monday through Thursday and then come together with the fellowship cohort on Fridays to consult with local nonprofits through a series of community-focused projects. Coincidentally, his host company for that fellowship was Rossetti Architects in downtown Detroit. And they were looking for someone to think outside the box and investigate how a rapidly growing industry of new design and construction technology would impact the workflows and collaboration methods between them and their engineering partners to support better integrated designs. Mike was the man for the job, and he spent 5 years at Rossetti implementing strategic software solutions and developing how the emerging concepts of BMI, Building Informational Modeling, and VDC, Virtual Design and Construction, would impact the designs and create efficiencies in construction. As Rossetti is a sports and entertainment architectural firm, he had the opportunity to experience unique projects like the Daytona International Speedway renovations, United States Tennis Association, Lambeau Field, that had to be pretty cool, the Detroit Pistons training facility, and the Miami Dolphins training facility. In July 2020, amidst the pandemic, Mike's unique experience in understanding the technological disruption in the design and construction industry and the growing need to work more digitally than ever led him to a new role in New York City as a senior VDC manager for one of the leading construction technology consultants in the country, Via Technic. Mike now resides in Manhattan and consults with some of the country's biggest companies, helping them with their digital construction transformation. He has worked with Target, Disney, and New York State's Northwell Health and Hospital System, where he is focused on building life after construction, the building's life after construction, and how the idea of digital twins can support and advance facility maintenance and building operations to create smart buildings. In his free time, which I don't understand how he has any after reading all this, Mike serves as the president of the alumni board of his LTU Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity chapter and runs the board remotely from New York City. He's been serving as an alumni volunteer for the last 8 years, mentoring the current students and leaders in the chapter throughout the school year, managing communications for 400 plus Sigma Phi Epsilon alumni who have also graduated from LTU, and coordinating events that keep the current members and alumni connected. In October 2022, he and the committee coordinated a reunion weekend that brought back over 200 alumni to LTU's campus. And we celebrated, Dr. Sobel and I got to be a part of it, their 50th anniversary and all the great things they have done on campus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is because of how much he has already accomplished that we are pleased to welcome Mike Piccirillo back to campus and to the stage as this year's keynote speaker for Convocation. Mike. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Finn, for that introduction, and thank you to the LTU administration for having me. It's truly an honor and humbling to be back in this capacity. I know you all have had a long day, so I'm hopefully going to be able to give you some firsthand LTU experience here over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. But to start off, I'm going to be real straight here. The only thing that I remember from my new student convocation in August of 2009 is that the founder of Ben & Jerry's ice cream was the keynote speaker. And when I say the only thing, I actually mean the only thing, because I don't even remember if it was Ben or if it was Jerry. And maybe those two get mixed up all the time, I don't know. But I certainly don't remember what was said. But I do remember at least that one thing, right? And I'd like to think that there's something to there always being at least one thing you focus on or remember from something. Even if all it is that the founder of a famous company was standing right in front of you all as you start your college journey. And if I reflect back on it, the impact of that was somehow, it made it seem like that level of success was within reach, just a few feet away, and that I was in the right place to learn how to do that. And spoiler alert, it didn't end up being ice cream, which puts a self-assigned tall task in front of me with you all this evening. Not only am I probably one of the last formal things holding you back from kicking off your college experience or even your night tonight, I'm also not a famous self-made multimillionaire that you all have heard of before. Yet, hopefully. So having sat where you are now, and having a sense of how some of you might be feeling, whether that's excited at what's ahead or you're just ready to get out of here in 20 minutes, what could I possibly offer this seemingly random graduate they brought in that gives you one thing to remember, consider, think about, and if I'm lucky, live by over the next several years? Because all jokes aside, I do think this is an important event. It sets the stage that you're going to walk across in 4 years, or 5, 6, 7. It doesn't really matter how long it takes you guys. It took me 6, and I'd like to think I turned out okay. And so what I'm hoping is by the end of this, that this appearance isn't so seemingly random, because in addition to academic successes in classes, those 6 years also gave me the time to do all the things mentioned in the intro: fraternity and involvement in Greek life, resident assistant, start a student organization, win a research grant, present to the president of the university. Somewhere in there was a free trip to Spain from a corporate sponsor to observe a student competition. And I was humbled to receive one of the top awards that my fraternity, Sigma Phi Epsilon, gives out nationally. And so many other moments within and outside of those things. So no, not a famous self-made millionaire. But I know this place, guys. And just to get the rest of that bio recap out of the way, this place provided an environment that allowed me to dream, a bit ignorantly driven, like nothing was impossible for a time. Try things and fail in a safe environment and get back up and try again. Gain enough confidence to do things like stand up here and speak in front of you all today, or facilitate a meeting at work. And where I could build the foundational principles and experiences that led me to the outside of classroom skills that allowed me after graduation to follow a non-traditional career path into new territory for an entire industry. Get into Challenge Detroit. Be president of Sigma Phi Epsilon's alumni board. Buy and flip a house in the suburbs here as a side project. It's a whole other story. And translate that non-traditional career path to New York City in the middle of the pandemic to find myself at the forefront of the construction industry's digitization. And hopefully making my parents proud along the way. I say all that, and so that's where I stand 8 years after graduation. And I say all that not to pump myself up, pat myself on the back, and tell you all, look what I've done. Good job, Mike. I share my story with the message behind the first one thing I might leave behind. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. That was a favorite saying in the fraternity, and one of the first things any of the alumni ever told me when meeting them for the first time. And if there's any SIGEPs in the room, you know what I'm talking about. And it's absolutely true. The more you put yourself out there, the more curious you are, the more invested you are, the better return you're going to get in anything that you do. And if I look back, I've only been able to get so much out of my post-college experiences and carve my own path because of what I put in the years here. So you get out what you put in. Remember that one. But all those experiences I just listed off, all those highlights, those are the Instagrammable moments or TikTokable moments or whatever apps are used these days to make it all happen. As a millennial, I can't keep up. Those are the moments that everybody sees. What about the ones that they don't? The ones in private or amongst only a few? the majority of them, the 90% of the iceberg that's underneath the water. There's so much that goes on in between the highlights. If you were to plot life on a chart, on a line graph, can you tell I'm still an engineer at heart? You have those highlights connected by a series of lines that represent the hard work, the failures, the iteration, the heartbreaks, the second guessing. So the reality is it's not going to be glamorous highlights all the time. And that's perfectly okay. Because you need to put in the work to get to the highlights. And in the process, to putting in the work, the in-between, it can get long, monotonous, mundane, tiring, overwhelming. So here's my point. You need to find mini highlights along the path of those lines, the small wins, little moments that inspire you and empower you to keep going and not give up in challenging times. Reminders that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because there always is. And these could be seemingly the most insignificant things to somebody else, but the most significant things to you. So I want you all to do me a favor and humor me for a second. I want you all for a moment, take a moment and envision a time recently or in the last few years that made you feel happy, proud, or just a time that was a good day. It could be a major highlight, but something that's a bit more like a small win. And I'll share a few of mine. This could be a conversation. It could be somebody paying you a compliment. It could be a win in an athletic competition or sports. It could be anything that you've achieved. Something that you think would give you a boost in the middle of a tough assignment or preparing for a presentation. Something that makes you feel validated and motivated. You guys got something? If so, and you've never thought about that moment like that before, that's your first one. And you can lean on the feeling of it many times over in the future, especially over the next 4 years. And if you need some help or you're like, what is this guy talking about? Here's a couple of mine that when I get a negative thought or need to push through that I remind myself of. The first one is my very first day on campus was 2 weeks before classes started, and I had joined the early move-in program for freshmen called Summer Connections. That was set up for a small group of freshmen to get to know each other before school started. And on the first day, the professor running the program, Holly Helterhoff, had a table of quotes. And she said, everyone go pick a quote from the table that speaks to you as something to have as you start this journey. And they were not just plain slips of paper, but they were framed quotes. And so I picked one, not thinking much of it at the time. And later that day, I went back to my room and I put it on my desk. And that quote read, "The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it's too low and we reach it." The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it's too low and we reach it. Michelangelo. It stayed there all through college to the point where the glue in the frame wore out and started to fall apart. And I almost threw it out or shoved it in a box at that point. But before I did that, I stopped and I read it again, and I realized just how much that philosophy had inherently ingrained itself into my life. So I reframed it, and it sits on my living room shelf to this day, 14 years later. And most days, I don't even remember that it's there or think about it. But somehow for me, it's put energy out into the world that shapes the things I do without even knowing. And every once in a while, I look over, smile, and I'm reminded that it definitely has become a quote to live by. And who would have thought that day would have had such a significant impact in my long term? So thanks, Holly. The other story I'll share is that there was one semester where I consciously chose to not complete a final paper for a class. And this is a do as I say moment, not a do as I do. GPA is important, guys. Get a good one. But I did that because there was that house deconstruction research grant project I told you all about. And we were in the midst of writing our proposal. And I wanted that more than anything. And I could feel an immense value that this grant could bring long term, which it ended up doing. But that is a whole nother story as well. But I had this final paper to write for this philosophy class, right? And I wasn't going to be able to do both well. So, like a good engineer, I calculated what my GPA that semester would be if I didn't do the paper by understanding what my final grade in the class would be based on the syllabus. Still passing, check. Then I looked at what the semester GPA would do to my cumulative GPA. This is like my senior year, guys, so don't do this as a freshman. Did the calculation, check there as well, still within the acceptable 3.0, 4.0 range, so nothing would get hurt all that much. And so I walked into that professor's office, Dr. Vogt, and we were on good terms, but I was fully expecting to get backlash. And I said, Dr. Vogt, I'm not going to do your final paper. I got a great idea for it, but I got this really great research project opportunity going on that's pretty much a paper, and I just feel like I need to put my all into it, and I'm willing to accept the consequences. He sat back in his chair, and he thought a moment, asked a few questions, and we started to chat, and then another faculty member popped their head into his office looking to talk about something, but said they'd come back later because they saw he was busy. But before they left, Dr. Vogt went, hey, Professor so-and-so, do you know Mike here? And I can't remember who it was, but I think I knew them, but they didn't know me. And Dr. Vogt, recognizing the calculated risk that I had made, as you need to do constantly throughout your life, and the value behind being able to do that effectively, says to this other professor, this is Mike Pachero. He's one of our best students on campus. But then with a chuckle went, but he doesn't have the best GPA. And that's how I knew I had gotten his approval and had made the right decision. He's one of our best students on campus, but he doesn't have the best GPA. No one else was around to hear that. I wasn't on stage getting an award where someone said that about me. It was a small in-between moment that I wasn't expecting. But I used those best student words to fuel me to this day in certain situations and moments. Because it was a moment that informally validated all the work and way I had applied myself outside of the classroom over the years. So the moral of that story is not, if you go skip out on your finals, someone is going to think you're a top student because of it, okay? Because that's just lazy. Again, do as I say, not as I do. There was years of credibility and Dean's List level GPAs building up to that moment that allowed me the flexibility to make that decision. So that's the kind of student I'm asking you to be. And with the message of whatever decisions you make going forward, make them count and own up to them. Because if you do, it's going to pay off. So thanks, Dr. Vogt. Those are a couple examples from my LTU days that I rely on still today to push me through a time when I'm feeling unsure, anxious, or have some self-doubt. And I have dozens of them at this point that range as far back as middle and high school. A reminder that you've been there before, Mike, and it turned out fine or better than you expected in that moment. Which brings me to my second and final, if you remember nothing else from this talk, remember this one thing. So I actually meant two things, remember. And that is, make sure over the next 4 years, you create those in-between moments that are going to inspire you in that, through in that time for years to come. You won't always recognize them right away because they won't be obvious or you won't be expecting them. But when you do, stop for a second and mentally store it away for later and take the small win. So to wrap up here then, two things, like I said. One, you get out what you put in. And two, remember the small wins to continuously fuel you along the way. And to achieve that, I encourage you to get involved in campus activities and exists beyond the classroom and the dorm room and the computer screen. Because the output of that involvement are the things that are going to differentiate you and the other guy or gal out there in the real world. And if we're being real, there is an interesting precipice to cross right now in our culture where you are a class where many of you that, if I've done my calculations right, had their freshman year of high school interrupted by the pandemic and spent your core high school years, the ones you would have spent otherwise doing sports, clubs, extracurricular activities, making friends without even thinking about it, spent either virtual or in some sort of uncertain, ever-changing hybrid situation. And maybe that point's been made to you too many times at this point and you're tired of hearing about it. And we all had different experiences with the whole thing, so maybe that wasn't so much some of yours. But it doesn't change the fact that as we all get completely on the other side of this, there's a lasting lagging effect where there are things that we are all going to get back to doing that we either A, forgot how to do or stopped doing, or didn't get the chance to do, or didn't even get the chance to try, depending on the period of life we were entering into at the time. For me, it was moving to a new city in the middle of everything. And I didn't get the initial opportunity to try and build connections I would have otherwise made. So it was a little similar to you entering high school at the time, under the same conditions. And over the past 8 months in 2023, I've had to force myself to snap out of it and shed some bad habits and mentality that I didn't even know had crept in as substantially as it had. And so for you, that thing that many of you didn't really get the chance to do in high school is presenting itself now. And this might be the first full, fresh start opportunity to engage socially, try new things amongst a group of people going through the same experience in entering college, which is a camaraderie that's always been there. It's fairly common to make friends when you can rally around all being in a similar situation. So pandemic or not, it was gonna happen. But what I ask is, don't close yourself off. Be open. Take advantage of the opportunities here. Get involved in more than one thing, because it's a great place to do so. Because if you put a lot in, you get a lot out. And you don't just get out the highlights. You get out everything else you need to keep going along the way. So take that, Ben, or Jerry, or whoever you were. Welcome to campus. Thank you for having me, and best of luck this year and over the next several. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike, for your inspirational words today and your commitment to making our community stronger. I hope you embrace Mike's words and experiences. I loved watching him on campus when he was a student, and even more proud of seeing what he's doing now. And I know his parents and his math teacher are feeling the same way right now. So, with that now, though, we want to introduce you to your student government president, who is your voice to the administration at the university. So, hi, come on up and join us.
Hello, it's nice to meet everyone. My name is Kong, and I'm your student government president. I'm honored to welcome you to the LTU community. I hope you're all excited to enter a new chapter of your lives where LTU can help facilitate the change. Our primary goal is to create an environment where you feel like you belong. A major component of that is that multitude of extracurricular activities and organizations that are present. I encourage you to explore the organizations that speak to you and would allow you to be your true self. It's no secret that there are going to be hardships and challenges you'll have to face along the way, but having a strong community to support you will make it that much easier. You should embrace these challenges as they will help you grow. Personally, coming to college was a scary experience. It was made worse when my luggage was lost. However, the faculty and teammates at LTU Soccer provided me the support I needed, which allowed me to overcome this challenge. Since then, I've put myself out there to be a part of as many things as possible, not only to receive the support, but more importantly, to provide that for others. I would like to invite everyone to learn more about LTU's student government and apply to become a senator if you're interested. On behalf of myself, my Vice President Carey, and the rest of student government, we sincerely hope that you enjoy your experience here at LTU, and we are committed to help make that happen. I encourage you As important as it is to study and do well in school, it is vital that you allow yourself to take a break and enjoy college. This next 4 or so years are going to be what you make of it. To conclude, I would like to share a philosophical idea that I learned from a show called Ted Lasso. This scene has rewired how I interact with people. To give context to those who haven't yet seen the show, he was challenged by another character to play darts, and during the final play, Lasso talks about how people have underestimated him his whole life and how it had bothered him. Then one day he came across a quote by Walt Whitman, which says, "Be curious, not judgmental." This is where he has an epiphany of how people who belittle him were never curious and thought that they had it all figured out, which is why they judge everyone and everything. Who he is and who you are has nothing to do with why people judge you, because if they're curious, they would ask questions. And if you learned anything today, is to approach everything and everyone with a curious mindset and not a judgmental one. On that note, I would love for all of you to be curious and make magic.
Thank you, Kai. Well, I think you're going to resume your orientation activities, and I want to just say to you all, we will see you in 2027 at commencement. But if not, I want to remind you of one quick little story that I learned when I was filling out college applications when I was your age. We had a rep that came to us, and she shared a story of an applicant to U of M. And he shared that when he ran cross country at his high school, he did it for 4 years. In those 4 years, he finished every race last. And I'm thinking to myself, leaders in the best, Michigan, right? Why would you say you lost every race? But then he pointed out something that I want you to always remember as you go through this next year. I wish you fun, lots of learning, but there will be challenges. And that was, he was the only runner in his high school that finished every race those 4 years. Finish the race, get your degree. That's what matters the most. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing you all on campus.